Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And obviously, this is my channel. And I am like going through so many changes spiritually and physically as a human being. Sorry about that. I just totally bumped my phone. And just so much goes on. Like, So I decided to get back on a dating site, and attempt the whole dating thing again. And then for some people who are following my love life, I did meet my twin flame who is like, special connection, your special person. And so, you know, I don't maybe you've heard of the runner chaser dynamics. Maybe that's happening, maybe it happened. But I decided, you know what? Just, put pause on everything and open the door. You don't know who will come into your life with a special lesson for you to move deeper into love, to move deeper into oneness. So, yeah, what does this have to do with the video, right? Oh my gosh. So there's just so many categories. Oh yes. But like let's get on track here. So lots going on in my personal human life, lots going on in my spiritual life. And I'm like, where did all the magic go? Spells, rituals, soul retrievals, doing work, you know? And I'm like, have you just like blown past all that? And how did you like transcend the occult? How did you transcend religion? How did you transcend processes? You know? And really, it was meditation, simple, basic Zen meditation. And and then so here I am back as a beginner again. And I was like, I've always struggled with meditation, struggled either holding the pose with my body, or struggled grounding, struggled centering. And it just seems like it's always just been a battle and a struggle. Yet, how did I get so many benefits? you know? And why, despite my, I would almost call it, this drunken monkey kung fu. Maybe there's like, I don't know what you would call it, but maybe because it's not a monkey, but it's just something that doesn't very, very difficult to organize this mind, very difficult to organize this body to sit comfortably and just have this Zen experience. Yet through this like kind of broken, wacky, twisted way, I've been able to have very powerful meditation levels of accomplishment. And and so this is goes into shamanism. This goes into everything that I'm about: magic, mystery, the occult, the unseen, paranormal, and especially metaphysical. And my conclusion is that I'm just born blessed. Because despite my 3D humanness, despite all my dysfunctions, I'm somehow zigzagging and able to kind of like hack my way in to these otherworldly experiences, whether it's through dreams or sheer willpower, or whether it's with the assistance of crystals. You know, uh, I think we have to find our own way. So, okay, now my thoughts are getting clearer. What is this all about? I'm going on my traditional kind of like calming meditation walk, where I get to let go of the world and just be free. And let creative ideas flow and let everything go. And just, I've been doing this for years, and it's basically saved my life from, dealing with life's challenges under the assumption that I'm all alone, trying to be an Aries, trying to, become independent, the fear of codependency, the fear of all, so, bought into some human programming. And I'm like, certain things from early on, I wouldn't say different, but I definitely had my own unique experience and my own unique to source energy. And I would say, so what are we talking about? We're talking about how can you be successful in magic? How can you be successful in your spiritual goals? Maybe you want to be psychic, maybe you want to develop your empathy. Maybe you want to do real card readings or channel. Maybe you want to hang out with angels and gods, or aliens, all the above. you know and like, I'm gonna have to say, there has to be some type of discipline and structure. And it might look like chaos. When you're building a house, you know, besides having all these great floor plans, and, it's a very messy thing. You dig the dirt, you lay the foundation, there's all this wood everywhere and nails. There's a lot of cleanup. We forget how much cleanup there is in the construction process. Then we see the cool building, the house, the home, or, we see the cool painting, but we forget the dirty palette and the hours spent, the struggling, and, maybe you didn't want to get back to it. So there's many ways to get there, you know. Sometimes you force yourself, sometimes you're inspired, but it can look messy. And having a foundation, a structure, really can make the journey easier. And you can have success in the long term, you know, versus the short term. So the reality is, I've noticed you have to really be passionate about whatever it is, whatever branch of occultism that you're drawn to. If you're really drawn to divination and cards, you have to have a passion for it. It has to kind of defeat you, it has to be bigger than you, and also be a mystery to you. It has to kind of confound you in order to create that excitement, in order to create that determination. Because, it's like you're not going to fight someone who's weaker than you or at your same level. You have to fight someone that you look up to, that you're inspired, and it's not like fight in a violence way. It's a challenge. And you're trying to get to that level, maybe. Like, I mean, there's different, you're curious, you're exploring. So for me, I always thought astral projection and these spiritual things were a mystery to me and so much bigger than me. And, I saw it as power. And it's like, I have to know about this. How could I live my whole life without knowing there's this other realm, the astral universe? How could I live my whole life never exploring the science of magic? How could I live my whole life not knowing how to access spirit world and power animals, and how could I be denied access to the gods? How could I be denied access to manipulating people with energy or being manipulated, hence magic, witchcraft, or whatever? How could this knowledge, how could I live my life without going and seeing what it's all about? So I think my curiosity and, just drew me in. And so I almost feel like I didn't have a choice. It's like I am so interested into it. So honestly, I feel blessed by a higher power. And if you've watched my shows or my old channel that was this channel, uh, I, before COVID, it was actually a very thriving channel till I had a mental breakdown. My mental breakdown was I got to do something different. And I did that one to myself. I totally just threw myself in the toilet and flushed and said, let's do a redo, a start over. Kind of like tearing up all your old art and saying, that point in my life is over. That version of me is dead. So, and what brought me to that is, do I really want to teach people, how to do some of this occult stuff? You know, my old channel, I was like, I need to go out there and reform the occult world, you know, and and also demonstrate that psychic powers are real or demonstrate all this stuff. And I was like, is that what people need? Because most people are still trying to meet their 3D desires. And so I was having a tug of war. Am I a mystic? Am I rooted in some form of spirituality? Or am I truly like more of a wizard, you know, and like, and in a weird way, I'm both. And so I had this like huge tug of war going on because when I look and I start observing, a lot of people use magic to get a boyfriend, get an increase, kind of like spiritually bypass the hard work of daily life, you know? Uh, and you can do that, but it does come with a cost. There is a balance, there is an equal exchange in the force. And so, whatever. And I also believe it's part of the learning curve. So, when we look at one of the most famous Tibetan lamas, Buddhas, that Buddha, that great sage, basically the revival or really a powerful force, like he's the Tibetan hero, like Melaleuca. After going through a series of tragedies, you know, he found his reason to perform black magic, like his family died and a string of tragedies. So he wanted to get revenge, like on his uncle who was doing all this. Uh, and so he went to a master of the black arts and he learned and he exacted his revenge. And then after that, he met the next master. So he first learned the arts, and then he started learning spirituality after that, and became, like a saint. He had all these superpowers, uh, and so I would definitely say that's a pattern. So I started off with black magic and being defiant. Yeah, at the exact same time, I was always connected to something good. So yin and yang, you can't totally be black. You can't totally be white. You're a mix. You have your light, you have your shadow. And there's layers because even once you find your shadow, you then find the light within the shadow, your golden shadow. And so I found that the more powerful I got, like crazy more powerful I got, I still it never filled my soul. It still never filled my heart. And it still never made the world a better place. Didn't make me a better person. I definitely had adventures and I definitely had power trips at certain times, but it never really healed my mind. It never touched my soul, you know? And I would say on some level I reached different levels of liberation. I'll tell you that. Uh but I felt like just because you can walk down that road and be good at it and just because it is interesting doesn't mean it's your calling. Doesn't mean it's touching your soul and making you excited to wake up every day. Like I would say life was better than it was. I would say there were certain stages in my life where it was like watching a black and white old rerun. And then other stages where there were some colors. But I want to watch it in full color, high definition, and even more. And so, and those experiences seem to happen outside of body. Um, I would definitely say just kind of being rebellious and stubborn, I made life hard on the higher powers that are working with me. But everything comes full circle. You go out, you play in the world. You've been there, you've done that, and then you circle back to your true essence. And so as I circle back, preparing for the next stage of life, which is death, which is the removal of the physical shell to move on to the next adventure, you're like, what am I leaving the world? What do I really want to talk about? Who am I? What am I sharing? And am I just going to throw more insights into the occult, fill in more puzzle pieces for people who are going to misuse it? Because as life would have it, I face many adversaries, like in real time, who want to play Magical Wars. And there's stuff to learn there. But there's a point when you just have to choose not to play. Like the ultimate way to win against someone is not to play. And I had bigger things going on for me, honestly. Like the relationship with my higher self slash God slash my angel was way more interesting. And the clearing out of my heart. So I would say, number one, I was never originally broken. And so the wounded healer path kind of was and was not my story. First, and this is why I talk about having a foundation. It's like this cup, for instance. It's like there's a lot of people, like, this is your physical self. This is your ego identity. This is your personality in this lifetime. It's like this cup. And if it's broken, then no matter how much spiritual water I pour into it, it's going to leak. And it can be usable, but it's leaking. So I would say the wounded healer is a cracked cup, a broken vessel. And or you could start off good and then really break your vessel. And then now from that point on, you're a wounded healer. And so some people have some injuries, but then make it worse. They really damage the cup. And I would say in my situation, I was more psychologically confused than actually broken. No one truly abused me. And I mean, was there violence? Yes. Was there different levels of abuse? Yes. Did I witness abuse? Did I receive abuse? Yes. But on some level, there was something that was never truly broken, never truly, soul shattering, uh, to be a damaged individual. And there was enough stability. My parents stayed together, and I grew up in a religious home, and so there was a sense of morality. So there were the basics that were being met, and so coming from a place where you're actually broken, and then let's say you become a yogi and then a guru, uh that can be dangerous, or coming from a place where you're really broken, then be learning how to, you want you want to learn healing abilities, you want to heal yourself, yes, but then you also want to make money, and so then you are helping others in the role of a healer. When you're still so broken, it can be a bloody mess, it can be tainted, it can be unpure, it could be not the best level, not the best version. And I and so there's a lot of that. It seemed like when I was going to teachers, uh to develop abilities or to learn more, you know, they all seem to be very broken. You know, maybe they were channels, and whatever, but it always came with this like toxic personality who played the victim role, who whined. It also came with a personality that was very addictive. So they were drinking and smoking and engaging in very toxic behaviors to try to ground that spiritual energy. There was a lot of justification. And so I found a lot of hypocrisy in the spiritual world where you're giving a service and you're all of a sudden love and light and, oh, it's, law of attraction and it's all good, it's all oneness, it's all love. And then the reality behind the scenes was resentment and pettiness and fighting over lovers and engaging in dirty, low class stuff. And I was like, how does this toxicity go together with spirituality? And it really kind of doesn't. So that's what I'm talking about when it gets messy, when you're bleeding on other people, when it becomes contaminated. So not so I would say you have to you have to clean out your heart, honestly. And over the years of playing with magic and mysticism, the occult, shamanism, spirituality, I come back to my own goodness. I know my own heart, and it's an experience. So there's a level of education that you can't use logic to understand. You can't use words. It's like experiential. You have to feel it. And a lot of people think feelings, hot, cold, sensation, physical sensations. No, it's a different kind of feeling. Feelings, love, joy, excitement, ecstatic, euphoria, awe, wonder, pleasure, pain. No, those are like emotions. The feeling is going through an experience that kind of transcends your physicality, and it gives you, because you went on that inner journey, because you experienced it on subtle levels, it becomes knowledge. So the cleansing and unfolding of my own heart pretty much happened with the assistance of Moldavite. That was a big heart opener. Really helped add extra pressure to help crack the shell of resistance, of trying to protect myself, of being, a sensitive person. it just really took a sledgehammer to a lot of that stuff. Uh, so I would say, I'd say my number one support system is crystals, minerals, gems of all different types. Um, Gifts of the earth. They're drug free. Have definitely been my greatest support system uh, in reclaiming, in dusting off, in purifying, in healing. Uh, you know, it's just like a windshield. Crap can get on the windshield. You're not the crap, you're the windshield. Or you're not even the windshield, you're the driver. You can clean off the windshield, you can replace the glass. Those are different processes. But what we're talking about is having a good foundation to begin with. Despite all your efforts, because you have a good foundation, you can achieve what you want. If you don't have a foundation and you're like, Onyx, I'm actually broken, then I'm saying you're going to get a lot of experience by being the patient. You're going to get a lot of experience by going through the cleaning process, of wiping the crap off the windshield, or maybe even replacing the glass. There is always a way to heal. But we got to be honest with ourselves. You might be studying and learning and healing and growing, and you're not really in a position to go serve the world. And so, even as an unbroken vessel, the world's a big place, and there's a lot of broken people. That's a lot. That is too much for one person. So you might even decline the offer to be a healer for pay, because that's a huge mountain, that really is a huge mountain. So, which kind of comes to the whole point of my desire. As I go to work every day, as I interact, as I have to move through the city. By choice, I don't have a car. By choice, I pretty much walk and take public transportation. And it gives me a different view into life. Like, I see hardship. I see broken people. And at first, I wasn't used to that. This isn't cornfields anymore, and farmers in their houses a mile away. No, this is person sitting next to you who hasn't had any health care in decades, and they're suffering. Their suffering is so bad they can't even work. Their suffering is so bad, it's day after day, week after week of interacting, watching, and experiencing these people, they become familiar faces on your route. So in a weird way, they kind of become like family. So I'm watching a little Instagram, feel good video, and video shows a guy, and he's eating like a loaf of bread, like at a KFC or something like that. And then this lady sees that he's just munching on this bread. So she gets him a whole entire meal. And then he's in shock that someone bought him some food. And finally he's eating a piece of chicken and he has something to drink. And then he starts sharing with these other two kids that were watching at other tables. And I started crying. And I was like, this hits so close to home. I have never starved. But the people who sit next to me and the people who are begging for money outside the mall, I go work in the mall, in the retail. I'm low pay job. I'm like one step away. I was one step away from complete poverty, but I've been very blessed. I'm blessed to have low rent. I'm blessed that if I chose to, I could ask someone for some money and get some assistance. There's a lot of people who can't. That hit me so hard, like right in the chest. and I cried. And I'm like, wow, that touched the depths of my heart. And what do I want to give this world? I want to give them the level of peace and the level of energy and the level of healing that I've learned how to tap into through meditation, which is simply relaxing and, and, and receiving energy and power from the universe. And I've developed my craft over 30 years of work. But that foundation was because I had a foundation in religious discipline and occult discipline. So, I grew up in kind of a religious setting. So, in a weird way, you're just kind of bent that direction. And I'm like, these people are so, you know, caught in physical pain, caught in distress, not getting those basic needs met. They're not even in a position on this dimension to help themselves. So, naturally, when you kind of wake up spiritually, I wouldn't call it a true awakening unless your heart is open. Because the heart and the mind work together. When the heart is unlocked, the mind goes to the next level. But when the mind is unlocked, it can open up the heart to the next level. So they can keep unlocking each other to deeper and deeper and more grounded levels. And the path of the shaman is truly of the heart, you know, and it's making more and more sense to me. And so, in a meditation, or when I'm in what I'd call it an ecstatic state, I call it shamanizing or wizard's madness, when I'm in these altered states of moving with greater power, I like to, think about these people. You know, maybe it's not all a hologram, maybe it's not all an illusion, and maybe we are all connected. And why not give what you can give? Why not send out that love all across the planet, as glitter, or be a sunshine and just beam those rays of light everywhere, all across the globe? Just project that energy out and shine, and maybe you only have the ability to do that for 5 seconds, but give what you can give, you know?